Hello learners, welcome once again to our interactive lesson. The last time we were here, we discussed conversation skills, and we were looking at how do you know it is now your turn to talk, it is now my turn to talk. I stopped when I gave you your turn, now I want to take my turn back. Which are some of the phrases that I may need to use so that you can know now I want to talk? I will say, as I was saying earlier, so I'm saying today that it is good to have a smooth turn taking so that a conversation, a discussion may take place effectively. To get back on the topic, so that is another way of showing that I'm the one who is now carrying the day. And then I will say carrying on from where we left, and that is where I want us to start today. Carrying on from where we stopped, today I would like us to look at something else called interrupting and disagreeing politely. In the event we are doing the discussion, it is not a must that we are going to agree, but especially when we are students in literature, English and literature, you note that we have divergence in the way we look at things. We talk about world views, so we may not agree all the time. We may talk about a character in a set text. Somebody will feel that the person was, for example, we will take a character like Nora, and in her bid to borrow a loan from Krogstad so that she can assist the husband to be cured. Students may have varying perspectives about Nora. I will say she made a sacrifice. Some of you will say she was hypocritical. Yeah, she was deceitful. So we may not agree. So in the event that now we are involved in a conversation and we are not agreeing, there is the way we need to interrupt and disagree politely. We need to interrupt and we also need to agree politely. So we will not agree all the time. That's what we are saying, especially when we have different world views. So we need to interrupt and disagree politely, because we are not going to fight definitely. So we need to disagree politely. So, and what we are talking about here, we advise that we don't contradict the other person forcibly. So it is very rude actually to contradict a person directly. So we need to, so for example, conversation is a two-way street. We have said it is bad to interrupt. We have showed how we can interrupt politely. So you need to interrupt, especially, for example, I was making a presentation and where you feel that I need to ask a question, there you definitely need to interrupt. You also maybe, I say, for example, Blossoms of the Savannah is by Henrik Ibsen. You need to raise your hand and correct me. So when you are making a correction, we need to interrupt. For example, when you want to offer your opinion and also when you want to ask for clarification. So there are those steps which are there, which we are supposed to use when we are interrupting. So what are the steps that we may need to follow when we are interrupting? The first one is to signal to the speaker that you have something to contribute by implementing the body language. So you address, of course, if it is a group discussion, there is the chair, or rather the speaker, the one who is coordinating the group activity. So how would you do that? So we are saying you do some body language. For example, maintaining eye contact with the speaker. They will know that maybe there's something that you want to say. You slightly raise your hand. You indicate that there is something that you want to say. You can sit forward on your seat. That way, you want to put something across. Quietly clearing your throat. Or coughing quietly. All these cues or other body language will make you know that you need to interrupt. So you can also wait patiently until the speaker pauses or in case of a lull in the conversation, that is when you come in. Then you can also speak clearly using polite phrases, the ones we already gave out. We already said that you can say, excuse me, I am afraid I have to interrupt. Then we said those are phrases that will help you interrupt without appearing rude. Then after you have spoken, you thank the speaker and allow them to continue, the person who was speaking. Then you can take a deep breath and calm yourself before interrupting when you feel angry or annoyed. Because sometimes maybe there's something that the person is saying is not according to how we wish. So when we feel agitated, somebody is saying, what are you saying? So before shouting, you take a deep breath. That's what we have said. You calm yourselves. Otherwise, we may not agree and we may appear rude. Then we can take care of use of low tone of voice. So you take care of the use of that. Avoid this. Avoid unnecessary interruption. Avoid finishing speakers' sentences. Avoid interrupting to correct the speaker unnecessarily. You can correct someone after the session. Then you can avoid speaking harshly or using disparaging comments on the person. So which are the phrases which we said we use in interrupting? We said we can say, may I say something here? Remember, we have said you can interrupt when you want to ask a question, when you want to make a correction, when you want to offer your opinion, or when you want to get a clarification or make a clarification. So we are saying you could use phrases such as, may I say something here? I'm sorry to interrupt, but excuse me, may I add to that point? Remember, we have talked about clarification, offering your opinion. We have talked about all those. Before we move on to the next point, may I add all that? Sorry, I didn't catch that. It is possible to repeat the last point. Is it possible to repeat the last point? You want a clarification. You could not say, I don't mean to be rude or rather to interrupt, but you didn't need something. You really need to say something. Remember, we said you can also make correction because maybe, for example, the speaker has made an obvious error. You need to clarify at that very juncture. Then you can say, sorry, but would this be a good time to blah, blah, blah? So we are saying you can use these phrases. Excuse the interruption, but I hate to interrupt, but I know it is rude to interrupt, but can you hear how we are polite here? We are using language in a beautiful way. Now, supposing you don't agree with my point of view. Remember, we have said, on my part, I may say Nora is self-sacrificing. And on your part, you see her as a very bad woman who lies to the husband that he has not taken alone until he discovers later. Remember, those are different worldviews, different opinion about the same person. So how are we going to disagree politely without going physical or fighting over the same? So how do you do? So follow the following tips so that you can disagree. Of course, at the end of the day, we expect that either parties who are involved in the discussion, either in the conversation, will go home smiling. We talk about a win-win situation where everybody will be comfortable and will be happy that whatever was presented was so. So we are saying, so that you handle the disagreement without annoying the other person in a discussion, one, always actively listen to the other person and what they are saying, their point of view. They'll help you. Be a good listener. That's what we are saying. Actively listen to the other person's point of view, and this will help to show respect. You respect what they are saying and understanding of the other person's or perspective. Stay calm, even when you feel angry. We have already given the tip. Take a deep breath. Control yourself. That way, you not feel angry. Acknowledge the other person's point of view before the bats. So first of all, appreciate the good thing that the person has said. Then you can give your own point of view. Then disagree only with the person's idea. Disagree with the person's idea, not the person. So it is not the person who is, it is the idea that they are presenting. So it is the one that you should agree with. Use polite phrases to rectify, to respectfully disagree, speak in a low tone, and give some credence to the other person's point of view before challenging. For example, say, it is true that I brought this phone. It is true that I bought this phone at a cheap price. That is what the person said. This phone is very cheap. So you can say it is true. I bought this phone as a cheap price. But then you stop there. That way, you have disagreed with the person and you have not gone physical. You have disagreed politely, like a very good language student. Ciao.